Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ronnie Show. Actually, this is quite weird, I'm gonna say, but I'm doing this for a reason. Mainly because the weekly show has officially been canceled. The reason why is because I've noticed that not very many people watch it. And, I just thought, well, I'm not gonna spend 20 minutes on a video that people aren't gonna watch. I mean, people watch all my other videos, but I've noticed that most people don't watch these weekly shows. So I thought, why should I waste my time in making weekly shows when almost nobody watches them? So yeah, instead I decided, since the Ronnie Show always gets high praise from people, I thought maybe we should turn it into the Ronnie Show, kind of like as a sports segment, like on the news. Um, so yeah, I mean, I already had this idea planned out. I was going to do this like later in the summer, but since people don't watch the weekly show, I thought might as well do it earlier instead of later. So yeah, that's how we ended up here. Um, yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for watching us right now. I'm sure this comes as quite a bit of a shock, but it was a very last minute thing, so yeah. Anyway, we're gonna still talk about all the weekly show stuff, and I'm thinking once it gets into the summer, I'll film the regular episodes of the Ronnie Show, and then we'll have this segment first, and then the entertainment part of it. Which, by the way, season 5 will premiere on not on January, July 2nd. You'll see a preview of that here coming up here within the next month or two. So yeah. Anyway, let's take a look at some NHL scores from last night. Pittsburgh beat Vegas 5-2. Then the Blue Jackets beat the Wild in a shootout 3-2, and the Islanders beat the Jets 5-2, and the Capitals beat the Canucks 4-3. Hold on one second, people. I just gotta change the channel now. Okay. Today's games right now on ABC actually right now. Flyers and the Hurricanes are tied up at 0. Then the Blues just absolutely tore up the Predators 7-4. Well, I shouldn't really say that, but they kind of did. Coyotes beat the Bruins, or no, the Coyotes are at the Bruins later tonight, as well as the Kraken at the Canadiens, and then the Blackhawks are at the Senators, the Ducks are at the Devils, the Red Wings are at the Flames. The Rangers are at the Stars, the Kings are at the Sharks, and then the Lightning are at the Oilers. So yeah, let's take a look at NBA scores. Yesterday, the Magic beat the Timberwolves 118-110. The Hawks beat the Clippers 112-106. The Celtics beat the Pistons 114-103. The Heat beat the Cavaliers 117-105. The Mavericks beat the Rockets 113-100. The Grizzlies beat the Knicks 118-114. The Hornets beat the Pelicans 142-120. The Spurs beat the Jazz 104-102. The Raptors beat the Suns 117-112. The Lakers beat the Wizards 122-109. And then today's games, or I should say tonight's games is what I should say. Timberwolves are at the Heat. The Cavaliers are at the Bulls. The Pacers are at the Spurs. The Bucks are at the Warriors. The Raptors are at the Nuggets. The Kings are at the Jazz. And then the Wizards are at the Trailblazers. College basketball, we have top 25 action. In fact, we have some conference tournaments. Pac-12, we'll go down the line as they're listed here. This is a lot we need to get to here, obviously. Arizona beat Colorado 82-72. Texas A&M beat Auburn 67-62. Kentucky beat Vanderbilt 77-71. Kansas beat TCU 75-62. Duke beat Miami 80-76. Villanova beat UConn 63-60. Tennessee beat Mississippi State 72-59. Purdue beat Penn State 69-61. Creighton beat Providence 85-58. Huge upset there. Well, not really huge, but you know what I mean. Michigan State beat Wisconsin 69-63. UCLA beat USC 69-59. Texas Tech beat Oklahoma 56-55. 1-point game there. Whew. Arkansas beat LSU 79-67. Indiana beat Illinois 65-63. Houston beat Cincinnati 69-56. San Diego State beat Colorado State 63-58. Iowa beat Rutgers 84-74. Virginia Tech beat North Carolina 72-59. We'll take a look at today's games. Right now, Houston's up on Tulane 13-7. Texas A&M beat Arkansas 82-64. Iowa beat Indiana 80-77. Kentucky beat Tennessee, or Kentucky is at Tennessee later. Michigan State's at Purdue a little later on as I'm filming this, obviously. Then Texas Tech is at Kansas later tonight. And then also later, this afternoon, I should say, late afternoon, Creighton is at Villanova. And then Virginia Tech's at Duke later tonight. And then UCLA is at Arizona tonight as well. USHL scores. We'll start off with last night's games. And then we'll review last night's game between the Muskies and Waterloo. And also preview tomorrow afternoon's game against Des Moines. So, last night, Youngstown absolutely beat up Green Bay 6-5. Not really, but it was a very close game. Team USA beat Muskegon 8-4. In overtime, Waterloo beat Sioux City 3-2. Very unfortunate loss there. Very upset worthy. Sioux Falls beat Des Moines 3-0. Dubuque beat Madison 3-1. Tri-City beat Fargo 8-2. Man, 2 straight games for Tri-City where they've scored 8 goals too. Wow. Mitchell Miller with a hat trick there, so good stuff up there. I mean, it was already 7-1 at the end of the second, so. Anyway, Omaha beat Lincoln 4-3, and then Chicago beat Cedar Rapids 5-2. Tonight's games, we have Sioux City at Sioux Falls, and then Omaha at Waterloo. Des Moines is at Lincoln. Green Bay is at Youngstown. Team USA is at Muskegon. Madison is at Chicago. Cedar Rapids is at Dubuque, and then Fargo is at Tri-City. And then we'll just take a look briefly at tomorrow afternoon's games because, Des Moines will be in Sioux City here, and then Green Bay will be at Youngstown, and then Waterloo will be at Omaha. So, yeah. Let's see. Well, let's take a look at the standings, sort of preview tonight's game between Sioux Falls and Sioux City. Sioux City, I don't know how, but even with the loss last night, they still are in second place. I don't know how in the world that happened. Well, obviously, Lincoln lost, I believe. Yeah, and then so did Omaha. That's the only way. Okay, Lincoln lost. That was the only thing that mattered, was Lincoln lost. Because Musketeers got a point after they lost. So, I mean, now they're up to 59 points instead of 58. So, yeah. And then Waterloo, nothing really changed for them there. They're right at 500 on the year. I mean, and then Sioux Falls, they're all the way in last place, so there really is nothing to worry about here, I don't think. Sioux City should be able to get the easy dub, and the easy dub tomorrow afternoon when they play Des Moines. That game will start at 3 o'clock here local time, but I won't be posting it until 4 o'clock local time, which is 5 p.m. on the East. 3 p.m. in the Mountain Time Zone, and then 2 o'clock in the Pacific, and 9 p.m. in Europe, in the UK. If you're watching, from the UK, which I highly doubt, but anyway, so yeah. Oh, and by the way, what I decided to do is that since I made a video about the network presentation, the Ronnie network, what I decided to do is that I decided to create a schedule as if we were a real network. Now, by the way, this is one of the 6 main networks, along with NBC, CBS, Fox, NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, and the CW. This would be the 6th network in RVN. So here's what the mornings would look like. So as you can see, we have the news from 6 to 10, and then games from 10 to 12:30. This is all in Eastern time. Then 1 o'clock we'll go to the affiliates. Then at 2 o'clock we have sort of the talk kind of ripoff called Hollywood's Talking. And then we have Caso Cerrado, my favorite court show, on at 3 o'clock. It's reruns with English subtitles, which I'm planning on getting into the schedule an actual Caso Cerrado USA series, which will be all in English and all that. Then at 4 o'clock, we have Match Game, a weekday show, and then 4:30 we rerun usually a program from the previous week or the previous month or whatever. And then we have What's for Din, just in time for dinner. Then at 6 o'clock, we have local news. And then 6:30, we'll have the evening news. And then we'll take a look kind of at the evening schedule. 7 o'clock will be to the affiliates, except for sporting events, which you see on Friday. But let's take a look at Monday. We have prime time on RVN, like, the prime time on ABC. It's exactly like that. And then People, which is People Magazine turned into a TV show. So, yeah. Okay, sorry. Okay, sorry about that. I had to pause there for a second. But anyway, let's get back to the schedule. At 10 o'clock, we'll have a rerun of Unsolved Mysteries, which is now a new series on which would be a new series on my network. Then at 11 o'clock, we have the local news, and then at 11:30, we have the late night news, which is pretty much the evening news. It is live though, but if anything happens or whatever, then we can update it as fast as possible. And then after that, we have the late night variety show, which is on at midnight. And then at 1 a.m., it goes straight to local programming for the rest of the night. And then Tuesday, we have local programming, and this is all of our comedies. We're bringing back we're rebooting all the good comedies that everyone loves. So, yeah. And then we'll have the local news and late night news, same thing here. And then it's Fun and Games Wednesday with an hour-long episode of Double Dare split up into 2 episodes, or 2 matches or games or whatever. And then we have Monopoly, the 1990 version of it. And then we have a 90-minute game show called $1 Million Drop Live, which is basically the £1 million drop in the UK. But instead it's $1 million instead of £1 million. Still hosted by Davina McCall, though. We're going to bring her to the US for that. And then at 7 o'clock, we have local programming. This is Thursday. And then we have our talent shows, Star Search and The X Factor. And then we have Musketeer Hockey on Friday night. Yes, we will broadcast the Musketeers on my network, no matter how low the ratings are. But, people could watch, too. We could still get, 500,000 viewers or whatever, an episode, or a night, or a game, I should say. You never know. If there's nothing on, really, on Friday, then maybe some people might come here and watch. So we would have the hour-long pregame show, and then we would have the game, and then the hour-long postgame show where we do league updates and league scores and, do all that. Then we'll have the local news at 11:30, and then we'll have the late night news at midnight, and then we have the variety show at 12:30, and then 1:30 a.m. we'll have the affiliates. Okay. Now we'll go to the weekend schedule. As you know, at 6 o'clock we'll have the morning news, this time only for 2 hours. And then we have our EI, programming Saturday morning, and then at 10 o'clock we'll have Caso Cerrado for 2 hours with English subtitles, and then at noon we'll start off the sports action with our college football pregame show, or college basketball, excuse me. Then we have the SEC semifinals, and then at 5 o'clock we'll have the local news. So this would technically be today's schedule. So if we were going off of today's schedule, it would be college basketball, and then at 5 o'clock we would have the local news. Then at 5:30 we would have the evening news, and then at 6 o'clock we would start the pregame show since the Musketeers are going to be in Sioux Falls tonight, so we would have that. Then the game, and then the postgame show. Then at 10:30 we would have the local news, 10:30 Eastern, which is a half hour early, and then we'll have the late night news at 11, which would be when the local news is started, but since, the Musketeers games now start on Saturdays, on most Saturdays, not all Saturdays, but on most Saturdays, since they start an hour earlier, I decided to move the newscast a half hour earlier so that I can make room for the Saturday night movie at 11:30, the late night Saturday movie, which people could watch all the way. I mean, it's gonna be a 3-hour broadcast till 2:30 in the morning. So once Saturday Night Live is over or whatever, they can come watch a movie or just chill out, fall asleep, slumber party type thing. Then at 2:30 we go back to the affiliates to whatever. And then Sunday, we have the morning news again for 2 hours, and then we have local church services, pre-filmed or filmed live or whatever. And then we have our political show, Politics Weekly. Then at 11 a.m., we'll have a rerun of Real People, usually the Tuesday night's episode. And then Sunday morning at 11, we have the college basketball pregame show, and then at 1 o'clock, we'll have the SEC semifinals, or the finals in college basketball. Then right after that, we would go straight into the pregame show for Des Moines and Sioux City. Then we'd have the game, and then the postgame show, and then we would have the evening news Sunday edition. Then after that, we would have a rerun of Match Game, usually from the previous week, usually the Friday's episode. And I was thinking that we could sneak in like a half-hour Saturday edition of it after the postgame show, but I just decided not to do that though, because if we're going to be showing a 3-hour movie, well, yeah, 3 hours, that whole block, we could actually show probably 2 movies in that time slot, but I just decided not to, because then we would end at 3 a.m. and I mean, it's Eastern time, so it shouldn't really be a problem for people like in the Central time zone, because we broadcast, especially for the news, because, they have West Coast editions. No, we don't do any of that crazy stuff. If we do news, we do it live, so it could be 6:30 in the East and 3:30 in the West. We're still going to do the evening news, so people would just get their national news earlier than later, if that makes sense. And then we would have the most outrageous moments at 8 p.m., and then This Week in Sports at 9, which sometimes most of the time would be a live show, but during the NFL season, that would because I'm planning on broadcasting some NFL games then, we would just do it right after that coverage is over, unless we had a Sunday night game on the schedule. And then we would have a rerun of Unsolved Mysteries again, and then we would have the local news, and then the late night news, and then the rerun of the earlier episode of Politics Weekly, and then local programming. So yeah, that is the schedule if we were a real program. Now remember, this is now the Ronnie Show officially. The weekly show has officially been canceled due to low ratings. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'm pretending that we're actually a real network, and I times like all the viewers by 1 million, and yeah, so yeah, I kind of do it based off of that. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you all next time. Bye.